Hey guys, welcome back to Livin MN Outdoors, and thanks for tuning in to this week's fishing report. Before we get started, if you guys could, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. It goes a long way with helping us out. We really appreciate it. But with that being said, let's dive into this week's report. We're going to start off on Mille Lacs Lake. This whole past week, the Major League Fishing had a bass tournament up there, and they absolutely hammered the smallmouth bass. Now, we were able to get a ton of information from watching those guys fish, where the fish are located, and what they were using to catch them. Now, the best depths that they were finding the fish in was at 8 to 14 feet of water. Now, early in the mornings, they were finding them on sand and rock transitions. And then as the day progressed, they were finding them on isolated boulders. Now, right away in the morning from like 7 to 9:30, they were getting them on drop shots, Ned rigs, and even some crankbaits. The crankbaits, they were getting them in chartreuse, blue, perch, and crawfish patterns. So if you like to throw around a crankbait, get out there bright and early in the morning, and that's a good time to use the crankbait. Now, as far as the drop shots went, they were doing those on those isolated boulders, and I saw the majority of the guys rigging those up wacky style. I had never seen that before on a drop shot, but that's how they caught the majority of their fish. Now, as far as Ned rig goes, several of the guys said that green pumpkin was the color of choice. Saw a few of the guys were using the Guggen Squad Rattlin' Ned. So that's a good option if you want to throw a Ned rig for those smallmouth bass. Now, I believe that through the week they caught over 500 bass that were 4 pounds plus. So the average out on Mille Lacs is absolutely amazing, and highly recommend you getting out there and trying some of those bass. Now, if you're looking for a guide out on Mille Lacs Lake for smallmouth bass, we highly recommend Mark from the Norseman Guide Service. He's going to be in a tournament this coming weekend. So go over to his Facebook page, wish him luck, and you can follow the results on the app Reel, R-E-E-L, Livewell. You can download that on your Android or Apple phone, and you can follow along those tournament results on Mille Lacs. All right, now moving over to Castles Resort in Isle Bay. I talked to Jeff. He said that the fishing is really starting to get good. He said they've still been targeting that 21 to 26 foot of water. He said when they get out there, they start in the 26, and as the day progresses, they slide up top as the sun starts to hit the tops of the trees. Now, he said they're still using a slip bobber and a leech. They're catching really nice walleyes, perch, and smallmouth. All of them on that slip bobber and leech setup. He said they're getting a wide variety of sizes of the 3 species, and they're having a blast out there. Now, if you want to get out on one of their launches, I believe they run Thursday through Sunday, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. You need to call ahead, reserve a spot. It's $35 a person. They provide the bait, the rod and reel. There's onboard bathrooms, handicap accessible. And it's just a great time to get out there with a group of friends or family. Now, if you're looking for a cabin, they do have cabins. He said that they're starting to have a little more availability as the fall progresses on. So go ahead, give them a call. Try and get a cabin reserved because the fishing's going to only get better from here on out. So if you're looking to get up to Mille Lacs Lake out of the Isle Bay area, go ahead and call Jeff from Castles Resort. All right, now moving over to Leech Lake. I talked to the guys from Leech Lake Guide Team LLC. And the fishing on Leech right now is on fire. Whether it's walleyes, perch, or crappies, they're hammering them all. They're really big, and it's unbelievable right now. Now, let's start with the walleyes. They said that the walleyes are starting to move out of the deep water. They're pulling up on some of those steep breaks, the main lake rock humps. You can find them on weed flats adjacent to those steep breaks, and they're throwing jigs at them. 1/8 ounce, 1/4 ounce, 1/2 ounce jigs tipped with minnows, fatheads, shiners, rainbows. They said they're pulling lots of good eater fish, and quite a few of the overs. So if you're looking to get after some walleyes, target those main lake humps, those steep breaks, and then those weed flats adjacent to steep breaks. He said that the walleyes on those weed flats, they're the easiest to target right now. They're the hungriest. So if you're looking for an easy bite, find a big weed flat adjacent to some steep breaks. Now as far as perch goes, they're catching those in the northern bays, sand flats with adjacent weeds. They're throwing jigs again, 16th, 8th, and quarter-ounce jigs with the minnow for those perch. They're pulling in tons of limits of them right now, and they're really nice. So if you like fishing perch, I'd recommend targeting one of those northern bays, such as North Walker, Walker Narrows, Sucker, Portage, West Goose, and just move around, find those schools, and if you get on them, you're going to have a blast. Now as far as the crappies go, that's where they're finding the crappies too, those northern bays. Find the weeds, pitch a light jig with a fathead, and if you get on those crappies, it's going to be a day to remember. They are really big out there, and they are a ton of fun to catch. Now I didn't get an update on the muskies, but I would imagine the muskie fishing is probably firing up like all the other lakes. Pretty soon it's going to turn to a live sucker bite, and it don't get much more exciting than throwing down a giant sucker minnow for a big muskie. Now as far as smallmouth bass go out there, isolated boulders, main lake reefs, those smallmouth are in 12 to 18 feet of water, a drop shot, a Ned rig. You can throw crankbaits at them. They're catching some really nice smallmouth out on Leech Lake as well. So if you're looking for a guide trip out on Leech, go ahead, give Austin a call from Leech Lake Guide Team. Otherwise, look them up on their website and book a trip as soon as possible, because the fishing is going to only get better from here on out. Now if you're looking for a place to stay up on Leech Lake, we recommend Horseshoe Bay Lodge. Cabins, hotel rooms, bar, restaurant, whatever you could ask for, they got it. Stop in, say hello, congratulate them. They just had their first little one, and we're looking forward to meeting them as soon as we can get up there. Okay, moving over to Lake Winnibigoshish, I talked to Chad from the Pines Resort and Scott from zupsguideservice, and they said the fishing is still remaining good. The walleyes are still biting really good. They're pulling really nice limits. He said where to find the walleyes: 6 to 18 feet of water, with the sweet spot being 8 to 10 feet. Now they're targeting shoreline breaks, main lake rock piles, main lake humps, and they're trolling crankbaits. He said crankbaits have been the best this past week. They're still getting them on some spinners and stuff too, but this week the crankbaits were the key. Now if you're going to pull a spinner, he said that fatheads and half a nightcrawler have been the best on the spinners, and the crankbaits, crawfish color or perch pattern, have been the best for the crankbaits. Now he did say that the perch are starting to school up out there. They're finding those in 6 to 18 feet of water. They're catching them on the spinners when they're trolling for walleyes. You can throw a jig head and a fathead. You'll get them that way, or a slip bobber with a nightcrawler and a leech will work as well. Now as far as bass goes, he said that the weed edges have still been really good for bass. They're throwing tubes at them, spinner baits, and they're kind of catching them on whatever you throw up there, they're biting. Now the pike, he said that the big pike have started to really pull up into those weed edges as well. They're catching a lot of mid 30-inch pike and some smaller, good pickling size ones as well. For those, they're getting them while they're trolling for walleyes on the crankbaits and on spinners, but you can throw some big bucktails at them, spinner baits, and you'll catch them that way as well. Now as far as crappies go, he said that the crappie bite has started to pick back up. A Cutfoot Sioux is a good spot to look for those, but they have been finding them out on the main lake as well. He didn't give me real specific details on where on the main lake, but I would assume on the weed edges with a fathead or a crappie minnow, and there's some really big crappies in that lake. Now he did tell me that the muskie fishing has been really good out there. He told me Tamarack Point and Battle Point are the two most productive areas right now for the muskies. He said that last week they pulled in, their biggest was 52 inches, which is a really nice muskie. So if you're into muskie fishing, those are two good areas to target. Now, if you're looking for a place to stay up there, they have cabins, they have campsites. He said they have plenty of availability. Go ahead, give them a call. They got a full bar and restaurant, live bait, really nice marina. Chad will take really good care of you up there. And if you're looking for a guided trip out on Lake Winnie, go ahead and call Scott from zupsguideservice. Very professional and even more fun to fish with. Well, I think that's going to do it for this week's fishing report. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope you can get out fishing this week. Remember to be kind at the boat ramp. But most importantly, don't forget to get on out there and get living.